everyone. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're watching God, Sex, and Love. Tonight, we're going to be chatting with Miss Dana Ray. She's an awesome Christian YouTuber that you need to
You
meet.
see what
Stay
I'm
tuned.
about. Not hard to figure out that I'm not the type of girl that goes around and fools around. But I won't go where you need. 'Cause right now you're looking
Welcome back to God,
so
Sex, and Love. I am here with Miss Dana Ray. Man, look, hello, woman of God.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Man, Miss Dana Ray. I guess I'm a fan, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you taking out the
Oh my
time
goodness.
to visit little old me on tonight.
I'll be doing that, child. Don't be no fan, cause I'm regular.
No, but for real though, I know I was sharing all this stuff with you earlier and whatnot, but basically, the main video I remember coming across of yours was on my anniversary. I think I might have watched another one before then, but that one just stood out because it just was so timely to hear you say, wives, we need to be praying over our husbands and supporting them and X, Y, and Z. And I just was like, to get that word on my anniversary was just like, yeah, that's a good, reminder. I need to be, continuing to hold him up because my husband going through a lot of different things. Like one of them is depression, but he's also was working this job that he really feeling like that, and that was I think was triggering some of the depression and stuff. And so um I mean, yeah, I'm praying for him and all that stuff too, and doing my best to kind of uplift him in that, and
Mhm.
keep him motivated in that because he almost done. He's about to transition into another job, and I think he's going to enjoy a little bit more and things. But like I said, I mean, just in general, I think that's a good thing to be reminded of. So thank you for that. I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. To piggyback on that, I'm not married yet. For all the viewers, I'm not yet married, but I know that I will be married soon. And I made the video for women who were waiting to get married. And you're not the first person to say that word was for married women as well. Like to remind them of why they were placed in that marriage and to remind them of their responsibility to their husband. God had me watch some video about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and their wives, Betty and something, because Mary J. Blige played one of the wives. And he had me watch that movie maybe about 3 or 4 months ago. And I was like, Lord, why you got me watching this movie? He was showing me how important their role was in their husband's success.
Yeah.
Like they held the fort down. And it may have seemed like, at the time that they weren't impactful or that they were just staying at home. But then there was a time when their husbands passed away that they had to step into these roles of being examples, being women, being speakers. They were, because they laid down their goals for a time for their husband's advancement, then God was able to bring them up at the appointed time. So I felt it funny, like how he's kind of like put things together, and he just was showing me like this is a responsibility. Everyone's like waving their hands like, oh, I just want to be married, but a lot of us don't understand why the wait has been so long and why we have to be prepared because of what the weight that we have to hold. Like the
Yes.
wife is the leader, not the leader, but the wife holds the house down.
Mm-hmm.
When the husband get home, if the house is in shambles, it's because of the wife. It's not, she is the piece to the home. She is responsible for those children being taken care of and for that man being taken care of to do what he needs to do in the world. Like, so yeah, like I'm so honored that wives, actually people who are already wives, like found that video and God was able to speak to you guys through that. That's amazing.
Look. I guess you all can see already the wisdom that just flows. Yeah, exactly. And I told you again about another one that was just very timely for me to hear a message that was like, stay where you at, Miracle. You trying to, take the wheel. You trying to take the pen out my hand. You need to
Uh-huh.
take your position. Stay in your position. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I appreciate you for being obedient to, everything that God has you doing and whatnot. And, you know, I know that's going to be a great man. That man he sends for you, right? I'm believing and receiving that, you know.
Thank you, Lord. I receive it too. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. But look, we done got, I don't know, I guess we're just so comfortable. We got to tell the people
I
where
know.
you from and, you know, tell them a little bit about yourself.
I am from North Carolina, actually. I'm from a very small town in North Carolina near Virginia. It's called Orlando. No one has ever heard of it. So I was raised in a two-parent household, both very much religious. My parents, we were in Holiness Pentecostal. We went to church all the time. We wore skirts until we got to college. Okay. So
Same.
I definitely knew of God,
Mhm.
but I did not know God. I did not have a relationship with God until 2020. Even when I got to, I went to college to Carolina, which is UNT Tar Heels. I went to college there and graduated. So I was in a gospel choir. Like I always went to church. But after college, it seemed like I felt like I was going to church for my parents, like to tell my mom I went to church today. I never experienced the Holy Spirit or nothing like that. I was just in church, going through the emotions. And I always questioned my parents growing up why we had to do all these things. And they couldn't really answer me, like as far as the not getting your ears pierced and wearing the skirts. And I'm like, why can't we play sports? Why can't we go to the movies? Why can't we do the things like the other kids do? So I was always questioned, I always had questions, but I was always silent. Not intentionally, but that's just how those generations are. They just follow and they don't really ask a lot of questions. They just follow the leaders. So when I started to feel like I was going to church just to tell my parents I was going to church, I'm like, is there even a God? Like, I was like, do you even care? Like, and I started to get depressed. I started to change who I was internally. There's also a lot of rejection and abandonment that I experienced younger, but I didn't know what that was. I didn't know how to express that. I was just like an angry person. And people would say that I was mean or very blunt. That's what they called it. But it was really my way of projecting my rejection and my silencing for my whole life. I didn't realize that until 2020, February 2020, when this toxic relationship that I didn't even know that I was in a toxic relationship, ended abruptly. And I found out all these things about this person that I had no idea about this person. And that story is on my YouTube channel as well. But that's why I started my YouTube channel. That's when God found me on the floor, my apartment, wanting to die, literally, wanting to die, and not knowing how I ended up in this position. How did the college graduate? I'm also an X-ray tech. How did this girl that all these people kind of look up to and think, oh, you had the perfect life? How do you end up in this situation with a person like this? But God knew what was necessary to bring me to him. Like, I'm a stubborn person. So it's like some of us, you gotta almost kill us to get our attention. But that was enough to get my attention. And at that point, I was like, you know what? God, show me who you are. Like, if you're real, show me that you're real. And there was a time when, right after this breakup, where the ex-girlfriend had told me that they had HIV. So I thought for 48 hours that I had HIV. And I said, God, if you're real, you're going to make sure that I don't have this disease. And those 2 days were the most transformational, worst but best days of my life. Because I was like, if I have HIV, I'm not gonna live. I had already made up in my mind I was not fit to go. I don't know what I was gonna do. I had not had no plan or nothing. But I said, I can't live like this. Like, how am I supposed to show up like this? Me, Dana. Like, how am I supposed to show up like this? And anyway, comes out I didn't have HIV. Turns out she was just lying, to try to scare me away from him. Who gonna use that as a lie? That's when I knew I was dealing with a different kind of demon. that's when I was like, oh girl, you need to escape. Like you need to make sure that this person, anyone who would do something like that, you need to make sure that they don't find you. So that's when I completely committed to God. That's when I knew that I could never turn back to this person, no matter how much my crazy heart was telling me, hey, you need to accept all these kids that you ain't know about and all this stuff. Like my heart's still talking about, hey, maybe it's a possibility. Then God gave me a couple dreams. He gave me about 2 dreams that showed me if I went back, you're gonna die. And I was like, I don't need nothing else. Block the person, haven't ever spoken to the person again since then, thank God. There was, my healing was a process. The entire 2020, because this happened in February, the entire year was my wilderness season. It was my season of coming to know God for myself. In the beginning of that season, I was playing with tarot. I was playing with a whole bunch of stuff, child. And some stuff happened and I was like, oh, let's run it back. Let's run it back. So, but I had to go there because now it's like I can see how people get caught up into that because you're so desperate for an answer. You're so broken until like that stuff, the enemy comes with an answer before God. Oh, he gonna give you something to make you feel a little bit better. You ain't never gonna get more better than that little bit better, but he gonna give you something to quench that. That stuff it's addictive. And then like you can't do both. Right. So then I came to a point where I was like, okay, I can't do both. So then I went straight on, God only. And yeah, that's how I started my channel. And yeah, that's how we're here today.
Wow. I mean, what a testimony, man. My goodness. Like, I feel like I'm always saying this, but where do we start? Like,
yeah,
it's everything you said, I can relate to a lot of some of the things, some of the things you said. But man, that definitely is a powerful testimony. I'm a little surprised, like honestly, like because when I hear you talk, I mean, I guess I haven't. So I guess I'm like not someone that started from the beginning because I'm sure there's people that have been following you from the beginning. They saw those first videos, and I saw you talking about those videos, but I haven't tuned in yet. So I guess we all gotta go watch those, y'all. We gotta go see what's going on.
I mean, if you in it, if you in a toxic situation, then I think that it would benefit you because you're probably going to see yourself in me. But if not, like if you're here, I don't even go watch the videos no more because I'm not there. Yeah, I'm past that. If you're whole, then no, you catch me right now where I am right now. But yeah, like a lot of people need that. A lot of people are in that right now and they don't know that they're in it. So I know that some people that will see me or that I'm called to will be in these abusive situations. So yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm wondering, just in this moment, if we talk about that for a second, so what was it that made you pick up the camera and say, I need to share this?
During my season of healing, I actually made videos to myself. Like, so it was kind of my journal. And I was like, I don't know if when I made those videos, I didn't make them in the intention of posting them, but I made them because it was healing for me, because I feel like I didn't have anybody to talk to who understood, because no one had gone through that. Even my counselor, I went to her twice or maybe 3 times. And it seemed like she was trying to convince me to go back or convince me that this person, was actually had a good heart. And I'm like, oh, she doesn't understand narcissism. Like she definitely don't understand that this is a demon here. You don't play with them, you run far away. So that's why I had to stop going to her. And then that's when I realized there are so many people who consider themselves counselors who can't help in this area. And even she was a Christian counselor, but she still didn't understand the demonic forces behind this thing that people call narcissism or Jezebel, whatever it is. It's all the same spirit. So that's when I started making videos to myself that I never posted. And then YouTube was a healing for me because it was 2020. I haven't stepped foot in the church since maybe 2019. So it was where I was getting my sermons from. I was watching people's vlogs who are already married, is where God revealed, showed me some single people, girls who were just living their lives, and just, it was motivation for me. And then I had a person that I had gone to church with before. She started a YouTube channel. Well, God had told me to start a YouTube channel before I started it. It took us some time now because I don't care that anybody sees me. I am not the person. I am background Betty. Okay. So I saw her post something like she created a YouTube channel, and God was like, are you gonna do this now? Or what? Are you gonna obey me or not? And I was waiting for a perfect time, a perfect message. I was waiting to have an outline. And I didn't have one. I just pressed record. I started talking from the beginning, and I did 2 videos that one, I think it was a Sunday, and I posted them, and then it went from there. So then I told the whole story. And then after the story was told, I started doing vlogs. So I knew I was gonna do that in vlogs. I did not know I was going to be doing prophetic videos. No. He did not tell me all of that, child. But I got so used to being obedient. Like I know that I was disobedient for so long. There's nothing in disobedience for me, baby. I was raised in the ways of the Lord. Like I can't run. Some other people might be able to get out there and do whatever they do, but it's gonna catch me because he already gave me my chance. My chance was when I was on that floor saying, Lord, please don't let me have HIV. After that, after you said, Lord, I'll do what you want me to do, because you start saying crazy stuff when you're down on the floor, making promises that you can't keep. But after that, I knew that was my last chance to disobey God. So that's what it was. It was obedience.
Wow. Look, a word in that too, y'all. Y'all better grab it.
Yeah.
That is a word in all of
If you a preacher's kid, maybe you might as well go and do what God say, child, because it ain't no running.
Right. And that's why at this point now, like I know I was telling you all this stuff earlier that, I definitely see the shift or the change of me years ago versus me now. And, again, like I said, I'm in this place of contentment, but at the same time, I know that there's more to do. But now I'm not as like, I used to stress about the future, be like, oh, how am I going to get to this and that? And I need to keep going for this and that. And just the fact that, the present is kind of like just skating by because I'm missing, basking in those moments. And now I'm just like, you know what you gonna do, Lord? What we doing? Okay, and it's just, and I got so much peace being here in this place of being, even though it's the weirdest place to be. I know we talked about that earlier too, that, it's weird to be like walking by faith and just truly trusting the Lord to provide and all these different things. But it's like the most peaceful thing sometimes too, where it's like, all right, well, God's gonna take care of it, I won't stress too much about it, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it definitely behooves us to be obedient, because, instead of being like Job and then gonna have to turn around and go on and do what he said.
Right, or Jonah, he gonna catch you in that whale mouth and you still gonna do what he said. So you might as well just do what he said. Like, and I also realized that there's no safety outside of God's will. That I realized when I was at that point of my life, that transformative point, that the enemy had been trying to kill me all along. I realized that he was trying to keep me from what God had for me. So my fight back was like, oh, you will never silence me again. You're not ever going to, like, you'll never have that kind of control over me again. That's my fight against the enemy. When God says speak, I'm gonna speak. And I recognize that as soon as I do what God said, persecution comes. And I'm like, oh, yep, guess I did the right thing. I mean, sometimes it'll tug at you. It hurts sometimes, like, especially when it's for people really close to you. But it's like, I know I just did the right thing because here he go. Like, it's almost like I be looking for him. Like, okay, I don't know if the Lord told me to do that or not. Then when I see a negative comment, I'm like, oh, there it is. Yep, I did the right thing. Yeah.
Look, we right here. We are here. I was just telling you last week. It's funny that you had said about the lie, right? The person came back and was like, oh, I lied. Like something like that happened. I had someone come back with a lie, basically. And I was concerned about the person care, you know what I mean? Just strong thinking the person was hurt and stuff. But anyway, not to get too deep into that. But yeah, the persecution comes, and like you say, when you go through it, I think it just to shift that mindset and be like, yeah, I'm in good company. Like this is expected when you're on the right path. I think that's a great way to look at it. That's how I try to look at it as well.
Yeah, because the enemy didn't He didn't care what I was doing when I was in the world, baby. He didn't care what I was doing. I won't stand up
Yes.
all night. I wasn't getting attacked when I was going to the club and being drunk and having sex with this man out of wedlock. He didn't care nothing about me until I said, "Hey, let's turn it around." Now all of a sudden, me and my family don't get along that well sometimes, and now all of a sudden, things get shaken up. So
Yeah.
it's proof, like, the enemy don't mess with nobody who is not a threat to his kingdom. So yeah, if he start playing, then you know very well that you are in God's will.
Exactly. That's why, like I said, when I heard your well, you kind of shared a testimony about the dream, because you were saying that in the dream, like when you got off track, that I believe you said it was like an alligator or something like that.
Oh yeah. The alligator when it took a break. Yep.
Yeah, and I was like, I could totally, okay, because I've been, again, I not only do I have, I personally been trying to figure out, should I go do something else? Well, I can still do it, try to do this too, keep doing what I'm doing,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
not only that, but then also, I feel like the attacks or the people that actually say something to me online, or the feedback that I get sometimes is like little stuff that try to make me question my belief in particular. Like it's
Mhm.
like they trying to come from my belief in particular. Like, why do you believe in a God like this? Or why
Mhm.
do you know what I'm saying? And the most recent thing was like the person was going like, I didn't give them any like fuel to light the flame that they did, but they was like, oh, you're this, you're that, you're a hypocrite, you're not real, like da da da. And I'm like, y'all coming from me? Like I'm just 2 years in, like y'all got already like the only thing I'm doing is being consistent. Cause I mean, I feel like there's a lot more growth and things to do. But I'm like, well, I'm gonna keep being consistent. I'm gonna keep doing the daily inspiration, and
Right,
I'm gonna keep doing the talk show and whatever else the Lord want me to do. Like, you ain't gonna shut me up. Like at this point,
right.
I want to say when I was growing up, I felt kind of like, and maybe the Lord, not the Lord, but maybe the enemy was trying to shut me up all my life too. Like, and I didn't see that until my adult years, looking back on
Mhm.
everything. Like, there was always this thing where I had to find other ways to express myself. It seemed like whenever I would say something, it would be World War III, but then everybody else could go around and say and do whatever. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
so I always had to feel like I had to keep my feelings inside, and well, let me just write in my journal instead of saying how
Uh-huh.
I feel and stuff like that. And so that was a silencing thing that I had to kind of grow through and stuff. Then I get in college and all this different stuff, and choices, and trying to figure out like at that crossroad moments and stuff like that. And so it's interesting that you were sharing that, you feel like in your, I guess, after college or adult life is when you really built your relationship with Christ, because I feel like same for me. I was always in the church. I was, my mom's an evangelist, and everything like that. But like you said, it's just something to be said for like building your own relationship, and not just
Mhm.
on your mom's prayers and whatnot. And so I would say that I was in my 20s when I started to really tap in and be like, all right, well, Lord, what you want me to do then? And
Right.
and being intentional about reading the Bible and all those different types of things. So now that you're here, right? Like, what would you say to someone that is in the places like we were, like you're in your adult life, and now the Lord is like pulling on you, and you feeling it now personally, like,
I would say, um, I don't know, because if you like me, then he probably gonna have to take you through something tumultuous
ooh,
before you wake up. Like, and it's a lot of people like me right now. And
mhm,
he's not playing with us. Like, so whatever happens, you're gonna be like, Lord God, what did it have to be this bad? And he's gonna be like, yeah, it did, because I'm saving your life to save your soul,
mm,
because the enemy was about to kill you.
mm,
So I would say you're gonna have to trust in God only. Because
mm,
when you're in a situation where you came up in religion, although your parents and everybody around you, they really do know God, but they don't know the God as he is revealing himself to us now. They don't know the God of faith. They don't know the God of movement. They know
mm,
the God of safety. And
mm,
God does not work safely. He
mm,
works how he wants to work. And a lot of what we have been raised in does not honor that. It
mm,
honors, like, somebody had to lay their hands over you and drape you with a cloth for you to be called a prophet, or for you to be called a minister, and God there's no time for that now because he's coming back soon. He don't have time for you to go in no church for 10 years and then for somebody else to say, hey, you are able to walk into this position. He's calling people from their house and saying, this is what I called you as. This is what I've chosen you as through his word and the Holy Spirit. You also don't have to have these depictions, because I had trouble in the beginning of my walk. I was like, am I supposed to be speaking in tongues? Like, do this mean I don't got the Holy Spirit? And I talked to my parents and they was like, well, this is what it said in the Bible. And the Lord ain't gave me tongues yet. He ain't said I needed them yet. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely respect it and I believe that it is, but he had to take me completely out of church, completely out of religion to show me who he really is, who he needs me to depict him as in this season. And there's honestly, he hasn't given me anybody to seek advice from, but him, his word, like he has led me. Like even when, like there's been times when he have placed me in situations that my mom would be like, you should do this, but God had already told me to do something different. And then he'll prove that what he said was right. And it's like he had to take me from under that. My mom has my best interests at heart, but my mom ain't God. Yeah. She ain't the one that I need to obey. Yeah. I have to obey him over everything. So I say for anyone who's newly coming into God, he will lead you into where you need to be. Some people get caught up under spiritual mothers and fathers, and I'm not saying that God won't place you under somebody, but he knows the hearts of people, and he knows that some people will not be able to handle where he's going to take you. So sometimes he don't even place you under nobody because he don't want nobody to taint what it is he wants to do. And sometimes he's called you to be the leader. So if you're supposed to be a pastor's wife, then baby, you gonna have to just go with God until your husband comes. Like, you know, like you just have to know what position he has called you to. And a lot of people have just gotten so caught up with listening to other people, listening to the pastor, like, oh, the pastor don't say this, then that ain't what we doing. But sometimes the pastor ain't heard God clearly. Sometimes the pastor has made religion over his relationship. So who are you following? Who are you listening to? And if that pastor happened to walk the wrong way, you got to know God for yourself to recognize, okay, he's human. That's the wrong way to go. So I'm going to go this way and follow God until he get himself together. But so many people, the word says, my sheep know my voice, and a stranger they won't follow. So many people are so connected to human beings being their leaders that they can't recognize when the leader is off. And that is where God does not want us to be, because we're coming in a time where you're going to have to discern for yourself who is false and who ain't false. And then everybody look like church. Everybody know how to look like church. They know how to put them stockings on, them bells and little things on their head and stuff. They know how to look like church, but their hearts aren't right.
Come on.
And it's these same people that's going to get to the pearly gates. And the Lord's going to say, depart from me, you never knew me. But other people that's wearing their earrings and their nose rings, that people want to say, you ain't going to heaven because of that, but we're going to be in heaven and you're going to be still sitting over here with your white stockings on, because your heart, God looks at the heart. He knows the heart of people. I've been in a season of isolation. I feel like I've been in isolation about 3 years now, because, and the Lord snatched people from me. And I'm like, dude, why? Like, I don't understand. This person's been my friend for so long, but it's because of where he was taking me. Everybody is not going to be able to handle where he's taking you. And it may be like they be snatched out for a season and he'll replace them, but you have to obey what he says, because he sees the heart of these people. Like, he sees that they're going to be jealous, that they're not going to be able to handle your marriage right now, that they're not going to be able to handle that you got there before them. Like, he knows that that's going to happen. So you have to, if he says be silent, it's for your protection. Because he knows if you get married and you don't tell nobody, and you do tell somebody, you ain't gonna obey him all the way, because now you got all these voices in your ear. Or if you go here and it don't agree with whatever they think you should do, they're gonna have a power over you, and a voice that's gonna be second guessing what God said, and he doesn't want that for you. There's some battles he don't want us to fight. That's why you got to be keen to his voice and just do what he says, no matter what other people say. And a lot of times, I just recently took a trip. I just posted this blog took a trip to Paris and Barcelona.
Okay.
I didn't tell anybody until I got there, because God told me not to. I cried the whole way because I tell my mom everything. I talk to my mom every day. And that was a test.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you going to obey me? It's nothing against my mom, but she would have talked me out of it because I ain't got no job right now. She's very logical. She would have been like, okay, now, and then I wouldn't have went.
Yeah.
But I had to go because God said go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he's moving in his people right now. He might say, you need to move to Florida tomorrow, tonight. Are you going to go?
Mm.
You don't know what's coming. It could be a tornado coming. It could be anything that he's trying to protect you from.
Yes.
But people be wanting too many answers before they start moving. God just gonna give you a word. You gonna either do it or you ain't. He's not gonna give you the whole blueprint. Because if he give you the whole blueprint, you ain't gonna do it. That'd be my motto. If he told you everything you was gonna have to experience, you wouldn't do it.
Right.
So he don't tell you everything. Also, because he got it, he don't have to.
Facts.
That's what I would tell somebody. You got to obey God when nobody else sees what you see, when nobody else heard what you heard, because he ain't tell them. All he told was you. Now, he ain't need no band to back him up. All he needed was his word. So you're going to have to obey God, and it's going to look real radical, and it's going to look real crazy. But he going to show, and when the time comes, everybody going to see that you obey God. He going to prove himself. He going to prove that what you heard was right. It just may not be right now, but you got to obey him until you get there.
There you go. Look, and when you get there,
and when you get there, you're going to have to obey him too. Right. But you'll miss so many opportunities. And we don't realize that stagnation, it's not even because of me. It's the stagnation on the African American community in general. There is a generational curse of poverty and not moving fear on the whole entire African American community, because we are so scared to do anything different than what somebody else did in the past. Anybody that we look at that got somewhere did something different than what their family looks like they should have done. Like, we have to do that. And I be telling people, I don't have any children, but if you're not gonna do it for yourself, do it for your kids. You get one life.
Yes.
You get one life, and all of us are here for a reason, to change something, to do something different. Like, we have to realize, stop blaming the government for our oppression. It's us.
Ooh.
We're oppressed because of us.
Come on.
Because of our fear, and we don't even recognize it as fear. And the enemy just over there just laughing. Because your kids will do the same thing you did. You did the same thing your mama did, and it's all a generational curse. But nobody recognizes that. They just settle into, okay, well, this all I can get. This all I seen her do. I'm gonna just move right here 30 minutes away. I know God didn't tell me to move to California. Yes, he did. He probably did. You just making up. You just act like you hear him. And then he gonna give it to your sister. Then you're gonna be jealous when your sister go. Okay.
Oh Lord, she gonna have me fall out. Okay.
I just be tired sometimes of people.
It's so real though. That's true, because we got to be willing to move. I feel like there's a lot of things, especially now. Like, I feel like since 2020, I done seen a lot of stuff going on, and I'm over here like feeling like I'm the only one, at least in my circle, that see. I know there's other people that see what's going on, and they privy to, like, there's something different about this particular season right now. Like, time is short. Like, we need to get right and blah, blah, blah.
Feeling the transition.
Yeah, and then there's others that don't. It's like they don't see none of this. I'm like, so y'all didn't see that? Y'all don't see this?
Yep. That's part of the word. That's part of the word though that I had released about, like, you're a watchman. People are walking around in the territories that God has called you to. Sometimes you will be the only one who see. And it's your responsibility to see until others get to that level. Some of them just haven't submitted their lives completely to God, so they don't see. But they will one day. But you got to see first. You got to see first before they can come along. And that was another piece of my motivation too. I'm like, dang, nobody understands. But then God was like, yeah, because they're going to understand if you do it first. You have to be first. Then your whole family, they're going to come on with me. They're going to start to get to know me too because of them seeing me in you. Somebody got to go first.
Yeah.
And you can't be scared to go first. You can't be scared to be the only one that sees.
Yeah.
That's actually a blessing. That's actually in scripture too. He says there are many prophets that wish they would have saw the things that you see, but they cannot. Like, I started taking my call as a like, wow, God, you really trust me, or you really love me enough to let me see these things. You know what I'm saying? To share with your people because you love them. You know, like, and I had to get out of because the people who know me from like real life, they probably don't watch my YouTube. They probably don't know nothing about no prophet videos, but I ain't here for them right now. What if I would have said no? Look at the thousands of people who wouldn't, because I was waiting for my family to see me or my cousin to see me and say, hey, we see you on YouTube. Like, we can't wait for that.
Right.
Some of your family gonna get it later, and some of them ain't gonna get it at all. Does that mean you're not gonna do what God said? And some of them gonna be like, oh, you only got 2 followers. Or what they saying now? Oh, okay then. You know, like, not saying it's me,
Yeah.
but I always was like, God is going to show you. I don't have to do anything. God is going to show you that what he told me that I shared with you in the beginning, because I stopped sharing stuff after a while because, baby, I don't have time for nobody else's, you know, I don't have time for nobody else's
opinions.
stuff.
That's what I call it.
At some point you get to it, you just like, okay, I don't even want to share because I don't want to hear. They gonna think I'm crazy. I don't even want to hear it. I'm just let God show off, and I'm gonna be like, oh, so he told me this a long time ago. You know now. But yeah, you can't wait for those closest to you to support you, because there's a world that is way bigger than you, and God is trying to reach people way outside of your hometown. If you never go, like, leaving North Carolina in 2021 was huge for me. I've never lived anywhere else outside of North Carolina. And God was like, you going to California? And I said, okay, guess we going. I was so, after being out of that relationship and everything, I was ready to go. I was ready to go anywhere. Like, that was my life change. But I met people in California, just at work, just being regular. I don't go around talking about Jesus all day. No, you just meet people and you connect with them. You don't know what God is going to do. He's just sending you to be a light. He's just sending you to be a voice. Like, what did they say? One person plants and the other man waters, or something like that. Like, just go and be yourself and do what he told you to do, and that's it. Sometimes what he told you to do is just work. He ain't called me to just pull somebody to the side and give them no prophetic word. Now he ain't called me to do that. That's not what I do. I just be myself, and I know that he's being a light through me, and people are attracted to me because of the light that he put inside of me that was not there until I gave my life to him. Dude, I used to look mean. I am a new person. I'm a new person to myself. I don't even know who I am right now. Like, I used to be so mean, like people didn't want to be around me. I used to be so mean, and now I can't keep people from talking to me in the streets. Like, God, I'm like, okay, but I embrace it because I know how it feels for someone to ignore you. And I know how it feels for someone to make it seem like your issue is not important. Like, it makes you feel like so alone, and some people will be like, don't send me no emails, or I don't got time. I told God the other day, I said, I never want to be a person that can't be approached. I don't care how big this gets. I never want to be a person who's not accessible. If someone emails me in the middle of the night because they're in crisis, I want to be able, if you wake me up and tell me to open my email, to email them back. I know how it feels to be like, I don't know if I can take another breath if somebody don't answer this phone. I know how that feels. People are dealing with so much right now, and they're covering it up, and because they don't have safe spaces. And they don't have anybody who cares, because everybody's so busy looking at everybody else on social media until their own family is dying. Their own friends are dying inside, and no one even knows it. So yeah, I was like, I don't care if I'm up there with TD Jakes and them, I'm still gonna be accessible to people, because I'm going to see the little as well as the great, because I know how it feels. And it's like God made me feel all of these things to give me the heart that I needed for whatever he's called me to do. Like, I know when people say I'm going through this, I'm going through that, I'm like, I know exactly how you feel. And and I really do. Like, he gives me a burden for the hearts of these people. And I appreciate it because it's going to keep me humble. Because that's another thing too, with this new elevation, it's like, I have to make sure that I don't start looking at these numbers and thinking that I ain't Dana from North Carolina. Baby, you still, I don't want to gain this whole world and lose my soul. That's the last thing I want to do. But it's so hard. It's so hard. Like, that pride thing, when people say they got a thorn in the flesh, that's one of my little thorns in the flesh. Is pride, and thinking that I have some part in where God called me to. That's why he had to take me down low. And that's why also a lot of things have taken a long time. Like I said, this journey started in 2020. We're here in 2022 right now. And I'm just now seeing the fruit of some of the things that he told me to do then. Like, and I'll be like, Lord, why is it taking so long? Why everything I do, why does it look like everybody else is getting there easier than me? And he's like, it's because of the weight. It's because of the character that you're going to need for what I've called you to. And I'm like, Lord, I don't even care. I don't even care. I don't really care about people like that. That's how I was before. Like, I just be by myself, my own little thing, do my own little thing, take my own little trips, mind my own little business, and I'll be fine. But he's called me to this position for just because he's made us, a lot of us have been made humble in a way that it's God before anything. It's God before money. It's God before. I ain't moving if God didn't tell me to go. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you waving. I ain't having no interview if God didn't confirm it. That was another thing. Whenever I got that email from you, I was like, okay. I said, God, you're going to have to confirm whether you want me to go or not. Child, I was in the gym and I was thinking about whether I should do the interview. I looked down at the song that was playing. The song was called Miracle. And I said, all right, then. I said that, and that's how God confirms with me. Wow. And it didn't, I was thinking I was going to have to, wait till the next day and be like, I was like, okay, I'll email, give me a dream tonight or something. But as soon as that was, I emailed you back right then. And I was like, okay, that's all I needed. Because also I know that, I'm so been alone for so long until when some friends or somebody come and be like, oh God, and God's like, you got to be careful. Like, everybody that comes and every opportunity that comes is not for me. You have to be discerning. You have to protect where I'm taking you. Otherwise, you're going to have some wrong people around you and they're going to destroy what I've done. So that's why I'm like, okay, if you want me to be in isolation again, then here we go. Because I don't want anybody around me that's not truly for me. I've had that. I've had the wrong friends and I didn't know. God had showed me in a dream. He had to show me in 3 dreams before I said, all right, I'm going to just cut the person off, because I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what he was showing me. I'm like, this person doesn't look like, I felt a little bit, but it can't be this bad, God. I should be able to hold on to him a little bit. And he's like, no, ma'am, absolutely not. I'm like, okay. That was a lot. I don't know if I answered the question.
You were fine. Oh man, like, girl, you start talking about that friend thing, and that's another thing, because I had that just that ghost. I'm like, what happened? Like, what even happened? But I mean, I guess I got a little bit of understanding of like maybe just different, I guess you would say spirits or whatnot. Like, I noticed that the type of people that I guess I clash with is the old woe is me people, because I'd be like, hey girl, you can do it, we can do it, da, 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 da. Like, that's me. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I got that understanding after I kept on asking, like, what happened with this person? Like, what, they just gone now or whatever. And so I kind of wonder about stuff like that too. And I still every now and then would think about certain people and would be like, because we were cool, and I'm just like, I don't understand, like, on a human perspective of like why they would just ghost, because nothing happened, is what, as far as I know. So I'm like, what happened? But and I was generally hoping they was okay. That's the only reason I found out that different stuff, girl.
That wasn't right. They weren't the princess you thought it was.
Yeah, I'm going to say, look, apparently people done blocked me on Instagram. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure the person was okay. I was like, I can't see them. Maybe they took a sabbatical. You know, I'm thinking like maybe they took a sabbatical. You know, understand
You
sometimes.
give people the benefit of the doubt, don't you?
Yeah.
God also taught me that, like, because what you said was you're always the person to like lift somebody up or something. He's taught me that we deserve better friends than that. We deserve friends who can pour into us too. Sometimes you start recognizing like, dang, like I'm the one that been pouring to everybody, but really like nobody couldn't pour into me because I don't have anyone that's like maybe above me or like, you know, like farther along in what I'm doing than me or who knows God like I do. So they can't pour into you. And God is like, in this season, baby, I'm making divine connections. I'm sending you people who can give you, like, who got more than you, who can give you, you know, the same thing that you've been giving to everybody else. And they're not going to expect nothing in return. They're also going to see you for who you are. There's a lot of people we're surrounded by who see us as what we were back in the day. And God is like, no, baby, I need some people who are going to see the light, who are going to pour into you, who are going to say, yes, you can do it. Yes, you're made for this. Get up, sis. And not be like, oh, maybe you shouldn't move, or maybe you should not. You know, like he's just giving us a different type of friends because he knows that we need to be held up too. Like we've been held up just by God for so long. It is not his idea for us to be alone forever. We might have one or two, just one or two. Now because it ain't a lot of people who, like I said, who can handle where you're going. They might can handle you right now, but they can handle where he's taking you. So he get rid of them now. And he heals you from that now, because then you can't treat those new people like that old pain.
Exactly.
You got, and that was another thing. I was like, Lord, please don't let me push away anybody that you sent, because I'm very much like, I don't need anybody. I do, but you have to keep convincing me that I do. But yeah, I don't want to push away the people that you're sending to help me in this season and for the rest of my life, because I feel like I don't need anybody because I've never had anybody. You know, like I've had some people around me, but I have not had anybody to treat me how I deserve to be treated, or to pour into me how I pour into them. Absolutely not.
Yep. And I was talking about misperceptions this morning, which is why some of that stuff you just said was like, oh, see, there you go. But on the juice, I was talking about misperceptions about like one of the things, my ex before the guy before my husband, he took me like through probably the same type of narcissistic, but it was like a mentally abusive situation, mentally, verbally, and whatnot. And, the way that I would describe our situation was that if my list of qualities was in a pile, he wouldn't have been able to pick me out because of the way he treated me and the things he would say to me. I'm like, it's like, you don't know me at all, but you done been with me. You should know me the best out of all the men I've ever dealt with, because I've been with you for like a year or so now, you know, at that time, you know, but yeah, it's like, yeah, sometimes people have misperceptions about you and you're like, where are you getting this from? You know, but, or maybe sometimes we can have misperceptions on people too. Like you say, like sometimes, you know, we're so guarded where we try to, you know, either, like, for example, I feel like I was dealing with a little bit of PTSD after that relationship. So I take critiques are a little bit harder to take, you know. So when I met my, you know, now husband and stuff, like, obviously he's patient enough to work with me through that, you know, and understand that. But that was one of the things I had to kind of get used to. Like, okay, he's not attacking me. He's just trying to tell me, you know, critiques would feel like hits because of what I dealt with, you know. And so, so sometimes he would be joking, but I would be taking everything he says seriously, you know. And so things like that, it's like it's on both ways. I can understand both sides of having misperceptions and also being misperceived, you know. So yeah, well, I'm glad that
that's why God works so hard to heal us before he brings us with someone. And like, it's very important, like, that you let him do the work on you before he adds you into a relationship, because there's so many things that are going to resurface. And if you're not, and see how you are healed enough to recognize, you know, this is not him, this is from my past. Everyone isn't even at that place of healing yet. So it's like, how are you going to have a whole nother person to be responsible for, to hold up when they go through bad times, when you don't even recognize that you're not healed yet? People want to get into marriages so fast and they don't realize how important their healing and God making them into a whole woman or man before they add another person into their lives. Like, brokenness just feeds more brokenness. And not saying that I'm at some level of healing that, like I'm perfect and ready to go. But
Process.
when I thought I was ready to get married last year, this time, and where I am now, I'm like, I absolutely was not ready to get no married. And now I'm still like, Lord, take your time, because the only dishes I gotta wash right now is mine. And the only clothes I gotta wash right now is mine. People don't understand that women, your single season it's purposeful. Like, you're gonna look back and wish you would have done all of those things when it was just you. When all you had your own money, you can go take a trip when you want to. You don't have to run it by anybody. Make sure somebody's watching the kids and all this stuff. Like, women and men, but men usually do. But women need to take advantage of their single season, and they also need to realize that sometimes women are prepared first, and their preparation is longer. God wake Adam up overnight, and God be like, okay, walk into this marriage in 2 weeks. And we've been healing for 3 years. And you get in there and now you mad that you had to wait 3 years for your husband and he had to wait 2 weeks. You want him to be celibate for 10 years, but maybe he wasn't. Maybe you were celibate for 10 years, or maybe your husband was celibate for 6 months. The Lord knows he knows his sons. No, he knows his sons. Like, that's a big thing to ask. Like, women need to be prepared for it's heavy. And it's a lot. And it's a lot emotionally. And God wants you to be happy. He wants you to be joyful. He don't want you to be waking up every day, regretting his choice for you. Yeah, I think that women do not take their time with their healing, and they don't know how important it is until they get into the marriage and they don't have it.
Exactly. And then even with on the other side too, it's like being married, there are just things that are different than I thought, right? Because I think maybe I hyped up marriage so much and hyped up, my husband, that we were joking that, was it even this morning that I was like, or maybe it was last night, I was like, you're not at the level where you're reading my mind yet. Like, you were supposed to know to bring me some Cheeto Puffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But still, maybe, I hyped it up so much that I did imagine it. Now he does in some ways. I feel like, there's times he knows exactly what I need, or well, I said it right, what I need, because, again, even things that I want or whatever, there's moments where he just gives me what I need, and I'm like, I needed that. I didn't even know I needed that,
Right.
But yeah, marriage is different too. It's its own journey, and there's some things that, again, that are a little bit different. Like, what. I'm keeping it real. It's GSL, y'all. Y'all done heard it so many times anyway. But I feel like I'm not saying that I'm still that horny single Christian girl, but I still feel like I'm the one that's like got the fast, the larger drive, and I'm over here still waiting. I'm like, no wonder you had me waiting. Like, this is
right, because you're gonna have to wait throughout your whole marriage. And I feel like the enemy, like, that's a plan. Like, first of all, people don't be realizing that the enemy don't want these marriages to come together because there's purpose with them. So he's going to use everything. So he'll use that disappointment of your husband, or whatever your expectations were in whatever areas, and feed on that. And then he'll, like, I also released a video about, like, be aware, don't get caught up in the enemy's trap, because I used to be a cheater. Like, I cheated on all my boyfriends except for that last one that broke my heart. I was with him for 5 years and I did not cheat on him. But I used to be a cheater. And the Lord has shown me some dreams recently about some infidelity type stuff. And I'm like, Lord, what you showing me this for? Like, what you showing me this for? But I know he was showing me because it's like, there's some things that you're going to face in your marriage. And the enemy's going to try to use that disappointment as a way to sneak into your marriage. Like, whether he tries to use masturbation, whether he tries to use adultery. Baby, if your husband ain't doing everything right, and that man at the gym with that six-pack start looking at you, what you gonna do? Because I don't know if people think they're gonna be blind when they get married. Like, they ain't gonna be attracted to nobody else or nothing. Like, women, like, we always think about it's men. We don't be recognizing what's inside of us. God been showing me, like, it's some stuff inside of you, little girl. Just because you've been selling it for a couple years,
Mhm.
once you get married and you start, doing the do again, baby, it's gonna wake up, and you're gonna need to recognize the plans and the plots that the enemy is gonna have. Like, yes, the man, he's coming, but he may not be all the way,
Mhm.
where I said he was gonna be yet, because that's why I brought you to help him get there. Like,
Mhm.
if he's dealing with depression or suicide or unworthiness or lack of healing, because a lot of men don't really heal until they got the woman in their life to like push
Yeah.
them there. So the men don't just go to therapy on their own usually. Like, so
Mhm.
that's why sometimes we're already more healed than them. Like,
Mhm.
they're still men and they're strong, but it takes us to like push them into that healing that they need to do, because they'll be able to be vulnerable. They can't be vulnerable right now. They don't have a safe space. They don't have a safe person. So we're the safe person for them, and then they start to heal. But while they're healing, you already healed, so you think, oh, I'm up here, and then you're looking at your husband like he like inadequate in some way. The
Mhm.
enemy's gonna feed off of that. Like, that's
Yes.
why we have to be married. Like, when people say their vows, they need to be saying them to God. Like, these vows are, I'm going to obey you, God. I'm going to love this man because you told me to love this man, not because of my own feelings. Because your feelings ain't always going to be like, you should love him today. Your feelings sometimes going to be like, girl, you go out there and drop it like it's hot. Like, sometimes your feelings
Yeah.
going to be lying to you. But the only thing that's going to keep you is not your husband, it's God. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't let you down, God. I don't want to feel the wrath of whatever might happen if I end up doing something crazy.
Exactly.
Like, but you got to have that relationship with God to obey him in that way, and to trust that, if he told you the man gonna be a certain thing, then
Mhm.
eventually he gonna get there. Like, even though you don't see it in the beginning, even if he's struggling if he crying every night in the beginning, what you gonna do? You ain't never seen a man cry. Your husband crying every day. Now you think he's like a week or something? Like, you know what I'm saying? God be having to deal with us women.
Right.
And
Exactly.
especially us that's been alone for so long. It's like you had to do everything by yourself for so long, till you don't even know how to relinquish that trust and that
Mhm.
aggressiveness, that boss lady stuff.
Mhm.
Don't no man, husband got time for that. Yeah, they want you to be doing your thing,
Yeah.
but when you home, they want a soft person at home. They want their wife at home, not the boss.
Mhm. A real man, right?
Right, a real man. It's like that transition for us. We don't realize how much it takes. I don't even know. That's why, like I said, that's why I'm not in a rush, because I'm like, Lord, if you've been preparing me for this long, I don't know what I'm about to walk into.
Mhm.
But I know it's going to require something of me that you have built up in me over all of this time, over all of these situations. Like, this person is going to need me, like, in a way that I've probably never been needed before, because I've never been in a marriage before. Like, yes, it looks beautiful. I can't wait. But child, I know it'd be like, Lord, I wish these kids would be quiet. Like, I know, like, so that's why I'm like, look, I know I'm 35, but God, you can do whatever you want to do. You can't have me have a kid, so I'm 60. That's up to you. You got these ovaries. But yeah, like, I think people need to stop rushing. And I think a lot more married couples, and not saying to say all the bad things about marriage, but they need to be more like vocal and
Yes.
be more honest about what they're experiencing. Like,
Yes.
I watch a lot of Black Love, I think, and
Mhm.
some other, we don't have a lot of Christian things, but some of them up there are Christian. But when the men speak,
Mhm.
it like does something, because I always see women talking all the time. Well, girls is, but when the men speak and they're able to be vulnerable and they're able to tell like what they went through and how they're feeling, because we don't know how men feel because they don't talk about it. Because
Right.
they're not safe.
Mhm.
Like, I think it's like men and couples, like, God is bringing us couples up to
Mhm.
be voices. Like, when I see a man on the podcast with his wife, oh, I'm going to watch this. Like, what's because I need to know about men, because like I said, like, we just assume how they
Yes.
feel, and it's not true. We don't know. We think they feeling like us, and they not.
Yep. Yeah,
So
indeed. I mean, well, look, look, I'm coming for that lane. You know what I'm saying? We do have some episodes. Actually, the very first episode of GSL, I had a couple on, and we talked about the importance of sex in marriage, and they went in. So it
Yeah,
was
talking about this stuff
so,
either.
yeah, and so you know, there is plenty of content on GSL, but at the same time, I definitely, like you said, we need more. Like Christian people need more real
Yeah.
relatable content that, you know, people can, you know, use to encourage and inspire them, as well as yeah, let's just leave it there. Encourage and
We
inspire
don't
them.
have any real
Whatever
examples. Well, we have some, but we don't have a lot of real examples. And also, people make it look like being a Christian or being in a Christian marriage is boring. Like,
that
we
too.
still travel, we still turn up, we still listen to a little R&B here and there. I don't listen to all that stuff they be talking about now, because they be talking about killing each other and stuff. Now I listen to that. But I take it back now. I listen to some old school. Like, yeah, I feel like, and it warms my heart to watch vlogs or people, Christian people, to be themselves, to dress how they want to dress. Like, everything ain't got to be cloaked up. I mean, I know they got this modesty thing going on, but baby, I'm like, God, not me. Like, I know how to cover up and be presentable, but that ain't my story. You know, that's not, I came out of that. Like, religion, can't do it. So yeah, like, I'm excited about more Christians. Like, because sometimes now, before it wasn't as bad, like hear someone curse or something, but now when I watch a vlog and I feel like they just like cussing and their music is just like, I'm like, see, I can't even watch this. And I'm like, there are people like me who need to see clean fun. Like, you know, just clean fun.
Go ahead and tell me what I know. I'm trying to get it.
Right, like
confirmation
Christians
for me.
take
Yeah, I
vacations
need
too. Christians, you know,
I'm working on it.
yeah, like, we normal people. People be like, oh no, I can't do this around you. I don't care what you do around me. I don't mean I'm doing it.
Oh goodness. Well, look, it's not like I need to send you my book, even though I'm not sitting here acting like I'm a guru or profound, but I did write about my Christian single journey to hopefully help other people in that space.
I saw that. Yeah.
I'll send it to you or something, but regardless of that, man, I'm only ending because I know we got to, but I want you to come back. I mean, you know, you're definitely welcome to come back anytime. We can chat anytime. You know, look, if the Lord approves.
Child, whenever I get my husband, we're gonna come back on me and have him sitting.
That's too, like, girls, see how there you go.
Yeah, there he is.
Yes. Can't wait for it. I'm be looking on social media for the photos and whatnot, for the wedding stuff. And
Child, we be married long before you see a picture, but anyway.
that too. That too. Well, before I start another conversation, go ahead and tell us where we can find you and everything like that, about your channel.
Oh, what is my channel? Well, my YouTube channel is Dana Rae. My name on my YouTube channel is Dana Rae. Also called Life God's Way with Dana Rae. That's my YouTube channel. I'm also a little bit active on Instagram, not hugely, but that one is love.danarae on Instagram. And that's about it. I don't have all the TikToks and all those things because it'd be a lot going on and I gotta hear God clearly. So I gotta keep it a little silent. But yes, definitely follow me on YouTube. I would love to have you guys there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Dana Rae. Till next time.
All right, you're welcome.
Miracle Sam's, let's go.
I'm good, but I bet you wishing I would have a one-night affair. But I won't go where you wish I could. 'Cause right now you're looking so good. That's right. But is it worth the chance to even want that? No. You see what I'm about. Work hard to
Thank you so much for watching God, Sex, and Love. And thank you so much to Dana Rae for joining us tonight. I hope that you all enjoyed the conversation. Check her out on YouTube. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share here on God, Sex, and Love. Good night.
I'm good, but I bet you wishing I